Leo.
So let's go ahead and introduce our guest for the hour. We have Ashely Trinklein.
Yes, very good.
Yes, with In-Home Senior Fitness.
This one's not his wife, by the way.
No.
And then we have Niki with Speech Care at Home. So
Cannyn.
Yeah, our last name is Cannyn. Yeah.
So what I really want to do now with this is really want to focus on our listening audience. This is terrestrial radio, and we have 50,000 listeners out there, and we appreciate you every week for tuning in. And we really want you all to learn more about how you can age in place and how you can make things better around your house, and then how you can get the support you need with therapy, because your body needs therapy in addition to your mind. So these aren't mind therapists, but in a lot of ways they end up being mind therapists.
Are you not a mind therapist?
I mean, I like to think that I help enhance people's minds.
Fair enough.
She definitely
Fair enough.
does.
And I
Yeah.
think physical fitness keeps the mind sharp as well.
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
So why don't you guys
100%.
say what you guys do specifically, and then we can dive into all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sure.
Ashely,
So
start us
I'm
off.
Ashely with In-Home Senior Fitness. We have been in business for 6 years. We started here in the Tampa Bay area. We've since kind of expanded all over Florida. But we are physical and occupational therapists, but we provide personal training. So we work under the scope of personal training, but you're getting a therapist, so higher quality. And this is great because we can actually continue the therapy that you might be getting under insurance. And we all know that insurance has a cap. So you may only get, so many sessions under your Medicare or Medicare Advantage. So we can pick up where they left off, or we can be preventative to help you stay out of the hospital.
Awesome. Real quick, before we dive into what Niki does, can you give us a quick explanation of the difference between occupational and physical?
Sure. So I guess I'll put it in layman's terms,
Please,
right? So
please.
a lot of times if let's say you're in a skilled nursing facility because you just had, a hip replacement, or you fell, you went to the hospital and then you went to a rehab, you would likely see both a physical and occupational therapist, and also speech therapist. But occupational therapy is going to focus more usually on the upper body strengthening, more of the activities of daily living. So making sure that, you're able to get out of bed, put your clothes on, do the things that you need to do at home. Physical therapy is going to very similarly focus more on balance and your gait, your walking, to make sure that you're able to do those things safely at home.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
but then we have speech therapy. So why doesn't Niki take a little moment to explain what speech language pathology is and what her
You're
informed...
stealing her thunder.
I mean,
Go for
you
it,
should
Niki.
be able to tell them after being married to me for 10
should-
years.
Quiz them, yeah.
Yeah.
Should, but I'm going to let you talk about that and also talk about your angle into nutrition
Do
as
not
well.
give him the space to tell everybody what you do.
Could throw a
because
dad
he
joke in
will,
there.
right? I don't think the audience needs that. Go ahead and save the audience and tell us a little bit about yourself, Niki.
Okay, so I'm Niki Cannyn with Speech Care at Home, and we come to your home that maybe Katrina Madewell can help you find and do speech therapy. So there's a lot of different areas that we cover. People hear speech therapists, they say my speech is fine, but we work with cognition. So if you or your loved one's experiencing dementia or even just a mild cognitive impairment, we can come in and give you techniques to help reverse that, a mild cognitive impairment that is, and to help mitigate the dementia decline. We also work with voice. So this is really great for people who have Parkinson's. They're having a hard time getting their voice out. Also, sometimes just elderly people, after years of being hard of hearing, having their breath support just not be what it is, they kind of lose their voice. So we see that a lot. We have people that they just can't communicate, and it's just so difficult for them, they just don't bother. So we can come in and help to re-coordinate their breathing and their speech.
Do you only specifically work with the elderly community, or do you do? Because the only speech therapy that I'm familiar with is my sister's, her son, just little, just didn't quite develop the speech as quick as others.
Absolutely, yeah. The speech delays, we do that. Personally, right now, I'm working with adults and elderly people. Mm-hmm. I may be expanding in the future, but I went into this field because that was my passion, to work with elderly and adults. Yeah. So we also deal with swallowing, and also we deal with aphasia.
I don't know why you looked at me when you
I don't
said
know why you just stared at me.
Well, I tell people I married my grandfather, so...
not from an age standpoint.
That's really weird.
Just from a personality standpoint.
Oh my gosh, Leo and my grandfather were like the same person.
We like being on time. We like doing things on a schedule. I mean, these are nice traits that the silent generation has that I adopted.
My family approved of Leo immediately because it was, good. Like my mother said, it's dad. That's great.
Dad.
So, yeah.
So to shift conversation.
You guys have the same canes, you know?
To shift conversation back to where we need to be. So
I think we're in a great spot here. This is much better radio.
I like this conversation.
So from what I understand, both of your companies though focus on in the house. So you don't have an office. They don't come to your office.
They're mobile.
They're mobile. They
Yes.
come to you. That's going to be a benefit, especially in the physical and occupational therapy, because now you're showing them how to do things around their own house.
Exactly, which is much more beneficial. In facilities, we can do as much as we can to kind of pretend, this is what your bathroom might look like. But being in the home is where it's at. That's where you're going to get the most benefit. And that's where they're the most comfortable. And a lot of people don't want to, leave the house these days, especially with COVID, hopefully behind us. But still, people are nervous, especially in that age group. So coming to them is a big selling point for us.
So I have a question for you, right? As I'm just imagining a scenario in my house, for myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 50 years from now, right? I slip and fall, bust my hip.
10 years.
Never know. It could happen tonight, right? Right? I got a friend's birthday tomorrow. We never know, right? It could be a little silly. But I just imagine, that's the scenario where okay, I got to bring somebody in. Mm-hmm. Now, you're doing it around the house and kind of helping them get used, get that muscle memory back to okay, this is how we take the trash out and wash ourselves and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Are you also, or do you work with a company? I know Leo does baby proofing. Do you do elderly assisting where maybe you have handles in new places that they didn't use to?
Absolutely.
Do you work with somebody that does that, or where they'll go and install these things?
So we will
not slip in the shower again.
Yeah, so we call it home modifications. We'll do a home evaluation, obviously, when we're there, and the biggest thing is throw rugs. They're pretty,
Really?
but they are the
they're
biggest
slippy.
hazard.
They're all slippy, right?
Yeah.
What about if you put the little grippy thing underneath them?
Sometimes it works, but we would
The little
suggest
turtles in the tub.
getting rid of them.
Slip turtles, right?
Yeah. But we'll work with even Leo.
What about
can
hardwood
help
floors?
design.
Is that a problem as well?
If they're slippery, obviously we want you to wear the non-skid socks or shoes.
And that's the ones with the little beady things on the bottom. Those
Should we wear Crocs instead of slippers or socks or shoes?
So long as they're in sport mode,
Yeah, with the backing.
I'm glad somebody got that.
Yes. But I mean, I'm just thinking about this whole aging in place. It's very important that you modify your home as you get older to make things easier. Because, if you only have a shower on the second floor and someone breaks a leg,
Got to call Katrina to sell that house. 813-377-2775. Text, I'm too old for 2 stories. 813-377-2775. We will... I don't know what we'll do. We'll get her in a single family home.
yeah, we'll get you in a single family house. I have actually a one-story
Do we have a
house.
one-story home available later?
We do,
Okay.
and I'll talk about
Well,
it in
we
a
have
later
to stay tuned
segment.
for the 4th segment.
813-377-2775. When we come back, we'll continue to talk about senior living. Welcome home. You're listening to Tampa Home Talk. This is the top of the 9:30 half hour, and you are listening to Tampa Home Talk with 813-377-2775. 813-377-2775.
Also listening to Tampa Home Talk.
It's great. It's just the way we come back into segments. So to shift this away from myself, I would really love to know. So Ashely,
So I'm 85. I just busted my hip. You're coming to my house. What do you do?
Yeah, Ashely, with In-Home Senior Fitness, tell us when you've got a new client, you have to do some kind of evaluation to start with. Walk us through what an evaluation looks like, and then walk us through the next 4 to 8 weeks of your Get Fitter, Weller, Faster program.
I love it.
Trademark.
All right, yeah. So we are going to collect, your medical history, background, any precautions that we should be aware of. A typical session is 1 hour in the home. We do check vital signs. So we're going to check your blood pressure, your oxygen, and your heart rate before getting started. Make sure that you're safe to exercise with us. And then our sessions are all individualized. So, whether it's your hip or your shoulder, or you just want to be active, you want to prevent yourself from, needing to go to the hospital, or you're rehabbing after an injury, it's all individualized. With all of our trainers being OTs or PTs, we have that background and experience to work with you, whatever it may be. And then, so typically you're going to, the vitals, and then a warm-up, whatever the exercises are, and a cool-down and stretching.
So how do people come to you? So is it like, okay, I've had an injury and my doctor refers me to you? Or could it even be like, hey, I'm 85, going to crunch really and cutting it, but I would like to, because when I think in-home senior fitness, like, I think you're bringing like a mini weight set and we're like, jamming to the 80s and like doing that kind of stuff. So do we do that too? Right? Hey, I mean, I'll put the headband on and the high socks, right?
No, we actually did that last week. We dressed in 80s gear.
Okay, yeah, I like that. A lot of neon.
1880s, Mozart, Beethoven.
Yeah, back when Leo was born. Anyway, sorry. Back to where we were. So is it both, or how does that happen?
Yeah. So a lot. I will say the majority of our clients, the children find us. So they went to visit mom and dad during the holiday week.
Mom and dad ain't doing good,
Mom
right?
can't get out of that chair as good as she did. Or I noticed dad isn't. He's shuffling his feet. Mm-hmm. So they'll find us, on internet search and
on the internet,
and our services are private
online.
pay. Yeah.
So you don't take insurance?
No. So we long-term care insurance will reimburse if they have that, but mostly it's
most people
self-pay.
don't have long-term care.
I think more people have it and they forgot, or they don't realize the benefits that they have.
Interesting.
And more people probably should get it because of the benefits. They're pretty great.
So Ashely showing up.
You have long-term care
with a weight set.
We need to.
So with speech
especially
care,
with this guy.
Yeah.
Aging. He's put him in a home soon.
He might like that.
He probably would. All right, he probably would. The first problem is when he turns 80 and he walks into any sort of facility, he's gonna be like, well, that window's crooked. There's a sinkhole underneath here. Like, he's going to just start inspecting the entire place.
Yeah, if we could find a home that was built in the last 7 years, he'd probably prefer that to our 100-year-old home. So,
hey, I've always said that homes built within the last 7 to 10 years, and that's a rolling scale.
He wants it older than 7, but not like there's this like Goldilocks zone for him where it's already had all its problems, and now it's in that predictable.
I have one of those.
Zone.
I have one of those for next segment.
Okay,
I actually do.
Can't wait.
So
I can see the excitement in your eyes.
I love listings.
he wants to put an offer on
So, anyways, Leo, go for it.
So over to speech care at home. So Ashely's going to show up with weights, with a routine, but you're more focused on memory and speaking and eating. So what is it you're showing up with? Like Subway sandwiches, pub subs?
I mean, that would be pretty great. If Publix wants to collab, we could definitely talk about that. But yeah, so it's really best that we use the food that the client has in their home for dysphagia. So maybe just to back up, we're private.
Dysphagia?
Oh, dysphagia. That's difficulty swallowing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The more you know.
The more you know, yeah. So we also deal with long-term care insurance, like Ashely and In-Home Senior Fitness, and we do private pay and Medicare as well. And what's nice about when we treat dysphagia in the home is that we don't have to say, you have to be on this one particular diet. Mm-hmm. Like if someone's in a facility, they have to be on a pureed diet or a chopped diet or a regular diet.
Gross.
Yeah. And no one wants that, right? So if they're home, we can say, well, you really should moisten most of your foods, but one of your favorite foods is, this mac and cheese, and you're okay with it. And you really should be on thickened liquids most of the time. But if you do really good oral care, you can have 4 ounces of water right afterwards. So we come in with our tools, but mostly using what's already in the client's environment because that's more natural.
So you're going to help them to establish diet. So you need like a certificate in nutrition or?
Not necessarily, but since I do have one, I use that to.
A lot of degrees in that house.
Yeah, he's got me starting to accumulate certificates as well. but I did just get a certificate in functional nutrition, mostly so that I can help people with cognitive wellness. So the Mediterranean diet has been proven to help mitigate risk for dementia and cognitive decline. So I definitely do try to educate people on that.
So what would be considered the Mediterranean diet, right? I'm thinking Greek food or Italian food. But not necessarily Italian,
just
but you
Greek
don't want the
salads.
heavy, you don't want the heavy stuff, right?
Yeah,
Not
no.
the heavy Italian, but the seafood side.
The seafood side, yeah, lean seafood, lean meats. Smash fish is something that you want to eat. So smash fish.
I like smash burger.
So
Okay,
yeah, that
smash
stands
fish.
for salmon, mackerel, anchovy, sardines, and herring. So
the high fat, oily fish.
the omega-3s, yeah. You want to have the good Mediterranean foods, the leafy greens, legumes, whole grains. You want food that comes from a plant, not that's made in a plant. And then,
So the easier the ingredients are to read, the better.
yeah, if you want your food to have, if you're buying food that's packaged, you want to look for like 5 or 6 or less ingredients, preferably. If there's a bunch of things that you can't pronounce, then you probably shouldn't be eating it. I mean, what we try to say is do an 80-20 approach. 80% of the time, be good. And then 20% of the time, let yourself have a little grace, because no one can be perfect.
Like cookies and Ready Whip and all that other stuff.
yeah, like the stuff we have in our house. Yeah.
So Ashely, when you're going into people's homes, are you making recommendations right then and there, like remove these rugs or get one of those sticker handlebar things? Are you making immediate recommendations for people? And are you trying to get people off your plan as fast as possible by getting them like a 6-week program, an 8-week program? Do you have like set programs, like something like that?
Yeah, so we absolutely make the recommendations, right away, because anything you can do to prevent falls, I can't not see like that throw rug is moving and not say, not say anything. As far as the programs, it's all individualized, and I will say that a lot of our clients, so we've been in business for 6 years. We have some clients that have been with us for over 5 years. They enjoy us coming. We provide peace of mind to their children that might live out of state. So if we're coming in 2-3 times a week, we can say to the children, send them a quick text, hey, it doesn't look like your mom has any food in the fridge, just wanted to let you know. Something that they may have never known if we hadn't been
Almost
coming
like
in.
a caretaker to a certain extent,
Yeah.
right? Like giving them a heads up. I like that.
So there must be this with the onset of COVID and families not staying in touch because they live all over the country now. So are you surrogate type children providing that level of mental health care they need for just someone to talk to?
That's a great way to put it. I haven't thought of calling it surrogate children, but yes, I think a lot of our clients see us as family. I mean, we've been invited over for Easter, Christmas, they really enjoy. Gaining that rapport with our trainer and our client is super important.
And
How
the
many-
socialization is so good for the mind too.
Yeah, definitely.
How many trainers do you have?
We have about 15 right now.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I could just imagine 15 buff people walking around with like sets of like power weights. The mobile powerhouse.
Come on, Babs, lift that weight.
Reach that top shelf. So can you help? Do you help people get above the little cabinets that are above their fridge that no one can reach?
Yes, but more importantly, we're going to teach them that they shouldn't have things up there that they use regularly.
So you're thinking that the mindset here is that if you use something regularly in the kitchen, it should be out and readily available.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
So
Not too low, not too high.
So my wife is 5'2", and we have really high ceilings. So like our cabinets go, and I'll say, hey, I'll get it for her. She doesn't want me to. She wants to use the longest tongs that we have for the grill and grab whatever it is up there. So do you have grabbers for your folks, or are we just not leaving it up there? We don't want that challenge.
Yeah, we'd rather not,
Interesting.
overreaching.
I did buy her
can
one of
cause-
those T-Rex ones
Yes.
from Busch Gardens. She got a kick out of that.
Those are great for the laundry room, though, by the way.
Stuff falls behind the dryer.
Oh, yeah.
So to shift back over to speech language and speech care at home with Niki. So you're working more on the memory aids, things of that nature. So what are some of the tools you have in your toolkit?
For memory.
Yes.
Yeah, you want to establish your routine. You want to train caregivers, help the client have a nice, consistent routine. You do want to have simple memory aids that help them orient
What would be
to-
a memory aid?
So it could be as simple as this is where they have breakfast. They're sitting at their table, and there's a little daily memory aid where they've got the date, they've got today's activities, and the name of their caregiver.
Like a newspaper.
Yeah, it could be that. It could be also...
But it's news about your...
About them.
Perfect.
Yeah,
I like
it
that.
helps to kind of calm them down, make them feel like everything's fine and safe and in control. Also, I love making memory aids of family names, grandchildren's names, because it's really hard for them when they realize they can't come up with those names. You can do that too. A lot of families even include the names of family pets on those.
So do you do little pictures next to it, or do you set up like a Guess Who type of game to sit across from them?
You can do pictures.
Okay.
You can. That's definitely a nice thing to do. You can label photo albums as well.
Okay.
And then the person can look and reminisce and have ownership.
So do you come in with a label maker ready to just like put like this is cereal, this is your son Jim, all the way throughout the house? Or
Love that one.
I mean, name tags sometimes that can be helpful, but just little stickers, low tech,
Okay.
little stickers are
Okay.
fine. But labeling
Okay.
cabinets and what's in them is a really good technique in drawers. Yeah.
like that.
And then after
I
you
get spacey too, so I'm just thinking about stuff for myself.
It sounds like we need to go into Adam's
Yeah,
house.
So-
rearrange the
Rearrange the
kitchen.
kitchen.
Yeah, rearrange the kitchen for sure.
I'm sure my
Yeah.
wife would love that I have the direction to put things away where she wants them to be, right? Like that's always the hard part. Is I'm pretty sure this pan goes here, but heaven forbid it's not on the right shelf.
Yeah, no, we're gonna help. We're gonna help out with that. We can do that.
I need in-home Adam care.
Yes, definitely. I will second that. And something more than a dog can provide.
Yeah, probably.
So if you are actually of the elderly, or you know someone who is of the elderly, like your parents or your grandparents, and they're looking for that in-care home, either from a speech standpoint, occupational, or physical therapy, text HELP to 813-377-2775. That's text the word HELP to 813-377-2775. We'll get you hooked up with Ashely for physical and occupational therapy, or Niki for speech language memory. And we'll be right back after the break. Don't go anywhere.